get started. So today we are going to talk about another plugin, and this plugin is actually for linting. So linting is actually the process of finding the potential error inside a file. So it will look for potential fire and also tell you about them. But there's a catch about this plugin. Even though it's a brilliant plugin, you actually have to install more than just a plugin to make it work inside your project. So you also have to install a library which this plugin is depending upon. Also, that library is depending upon, of course, Node Package Manager to be installed. So it's a lot of work to just configure and set it. So let's just go into our search file and look for Eslint. The first one by Derek Baumer. Just install it. I already have. All you have to do is to click on this install button, which would appear to be on this item for you guys. Once you are done installing it, just click it. And as you can see, it's asking for a little bit of things. The first thing it's asked for is that this extension uses Eslint library, right? And if it's is dependent on them, so you actually have to install it globally or locally. It's totally up to you. This is the command for local installation, and this is for the global installation. So the first thing I am going to do is go for npm init to give the control of my package to Node Package Manager. So now it's asking for the package name, which I don't want to go, so I'm just not going to give the version also. So I'm not going to give that because we can of course configure these things once the project is actually created even. So I'm not going to go with the description too, neither with the entry points nor with the test command. No, just press enter and it would be done. And as you can see, since I haven't given anything to it, it's just decided to went with the default settings for this file. I just press yes, and as you can see, it has created this packet.json file, which you could of course change at a later point too if you want to. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is again go to the plugin, and as you can see, it has asked us to either install the Eslint library either locally or globally. I'm going to install it locally and just press enter. It would take some time to install it, so be patient. Okay, as you can see, this is done and it has already added 199 packages. So the next thing, as you can see, it's asking us to create this Eslint linter.c file, which is a configuration file, and there are actually either you could just go and manually install it or just type for Eslint in it if you have installed your Eslint library globally, or go for the this whole command if you have installed it locally in Windows, and this command if you have installed it in Linux or Mac. So I have installed it in Linux, so for me it's going to be ./node_modules/den/eslint-initialize. Now as you can see, it's going to ask you for a couple of things. So it's asking you how would you like to use it. So I want it to check for syntax, find problem, and enforce strict coding style. So press enter. Now it's asking you that what type of modules you are going to use. Of course, I'm going to use JavaScript modules. It's asking you, are you using any kind of framework like a React or Vue? I'm not using them. I usually use Angular, but not React or Vue. So I'm going to go for none of those. So where does your code run? So for me, that run in the browser, but if you're using Node.js with it, you would just go with the Node. Now it's asking for you how I would like to define a project. Either I could actually answer a couple of questions about my preferences and it create a file which would enforce particular rules, or I could just go and use a style guide. I actually usually go with the style guide. There is a style guide developed by the Google guys. There is a style guide developed by the Airbnb, and there is actually a standard. I usually go with the Airbnb file. So it's asking me that the file, the Eslinter.c, what you want it to be. Either it should be in YAML, which is kind of like XML file, or you want it to be JavaScript or a JSON file. Yes, I want it to be a JSON file. Now it's also telling me that unfortunately the library has a version of 6.1.0, but Airbnb is upgraded to 5.3.0 and it has a version of this. So the only way I could make it work if my Eslint is downgraded to 5.3.0. So would you like to downgrade it? Yes. And there are some of the okay, so it's also going to install all of this Airbnb file, and also it's going to downgrade my ES plugin to lower version. So it's asking me, would you like to install it? I'm going to just press yes and just wait for it again to fetch some data. Okay, lovely. So for me it already has installed, so let's just close this, go to a JavaScript file. As you can see, it has also created this Eslint file, which is something like this, and it's telling us a lot of things. The first thing is that it extends the Airbnb base, which means I am following the rules created by Airbnb. Also, I could also give my own custom rules if I want to, although I don't need to. So I'm going to just go and make some mistakes just to be sure that it will tell me. Okay, let's start. It's giving me a lot of errors, as you can see. Now let's start from this word. It's actually asking me to either use let or const, of course, which were introduced with ECMAScript 6. So I am using let for now. Then it's also telling me that this variable is declared and initialized, but it's actually never used. For this one, it's actually asking me to use single quotations instead of the double. So let's go with the single quotations. Okay, what else? It's also telling us to actually go and create a next line. Okay, what else? Missing semicolon. Okay, lovely, done that. What else? It's saying there are multiple spaces before it. So gotta get rid of that too. There we go, better than before. As you can see, these all suggestions are because I installed Eslint, and it's giving me all the suggestions that are preferred by none other than the Airbnb. So this was the beautiful library Eslint. Make sure to always install it and use it. In case you guys are actually using TypeScript, there is another plugin called the Eslint, which is actually developed by Microsoft. Make sure to check that out too. That's it for this video, guys.